Hello and welcome to the Quebber channel. I am Jason, your host. When did I stop work? I have never quit a job in my life, ever. I've never quit a relationship in my life, ever. So when I finished school with my pretty bad grades and that, because I had started to mask to try to fit in. Masking is when you try to fit in and be like everybody else, even though you know that you're not. You struggle and you try so much to fit in, but you can't. So, when at 16 I went to college, and I did my higher national diploma in computer science, and I failed it horribly. I could do the work, I could do the practical stuff, I could code in the languages that they wanted and that, but I couldn't do the documentation. It was all being done up here, and I couldn't deal with too many people in the classrooms, in the lecture rooms, too many people all the time. So hid away in the tech support lounge with the tech support people. So I failed, but I got another chance. I went to university to do my Bachelor of Science in Computer Science. See, the thing is, they get you to do a test, or be that they back did then, they did, and the test was practical computer bits, and I was able to ace those. I wasn't good on the documentation, but they gave me the placements was they saw that I could do so well at that they thought they could teach me the rest. I failed my university course completely. I spent 2 years there, and I spent all my time with the tech support, fixing problems and that, and hiding away from or getting slightly drunk because they had a bar so that I could cope with the lecture theatre and too many people. I didn't make many friends. In fact, I didn't really make any friends. It's just acquaintances. And I didn't, it just didn't happen. So when I came out of that, I got a job as a night security guard, looking after empty buildings. And there was no one there. There was no one to bother me. I could do it. But my brain was rebelling. My mum convinced me to go to my doctor a few times. Dr. Smith back then, Dr. Smith. I remember him. And I tried so hard. But in the end, I didn't get fired or anything, but I worked at somewhere called, I think it was a glass firm at Truscott. Don't exist sadly anymore. They started me off in the office because my affinity with technology and that, but I didn't really fit in there, and I couldn't accept the people in the room, and everyone was in a clique and everybody was lying. So they then moved me into the manufacturing area, and I did some manufacturing there, and I actually took my computer to work every day so that I could during my break, instead of spending time with the people who were there having their lunch, I'd spend the time in the back thingy just to try and recharge myself, try to function for the rest of the day with half an hour's computer time. And they were downsizing at the time. The people in charge of the business were leaving. And then from there, I went to Trent Bathrooms, which doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. And I was there with them as my job was basically, I'd go in at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'd get everything ready and prepare everything and all these kind of things. And that went on until they started to downsize before they were shutting down. And still, I would be so exhausted by, and my mum finally got me to go to the doctor. And the doctor put me on, took me off work and wrote a long-term sick note, a long-term sick note. This was about 1997, 1996, for reactive depression. That is why if you watch some of my earlier videos, you would hear me talk about reactive depression. I was reacting to something and I was depressed. We now know I have bipolar type 2, but that is what it was at the time. And so I helped around, did a few things, spent a lot of time trying to work out who I was, because I'd been masking for so long that I was trying to be me, and that was bringing lots of problems. My mum knew I was not in a good place. She never made me go back to work after that or anything. And then I met Paola. 1997, 1998. Met Paola, and once I tried to do a few things at a computer place, because I wanted Paola. We didn't have any money, we didn't have anything in the house. We slept on an air mattress because we didn't have anything like that. And I wanted to be able to provide for Paola. I wanted to do something. And so I stopped being able to. Paola wanted me to be true to myself. This is when we started exploring my trans side and all that kind of things. And then Paola got ill, and I put that all away in a closet, basically, so I could look after her and focus on that, because that was more important. And my doctor kept trying to get me to see someone, a specialist in that, but I was so focused on looking after Paola that I'd spend all my spare time in the corner at the library in the late 90s learning about acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And then I'd go home and I'd be so frustrated and angry with what I was finding out, that I'd pick up it was a sort of an extreme form of stimming. I'd take the sword off the wall in our little place, go into the backyard and smash. I wouldn't say I was cutting up, I was smashing up and destroying wood in the backyard. And then I'd be exhausted by like midnight or 1 a.m. and I'd fall asleep until the morning, and in the morning I'd go and see Paola at the hospital. I'd either had to walk there if there wasn't any money to thingy, and then once I'd been to there, then I'd go straight to the library and start reading up more on the medical stuff and studying it all, because I knew the more I read, the more I knew that Paola, I'm going to have to be a carer, I'm going to have to look after her, I'm going to have to know all of this stuff. I'm going to have to learn how to help her as it gets worse, because I knew the side effects of the medication that they would put her on and everything. And so my job, if we call it whatever it was, from 6 a.m. to midnight was to make sure Paola smiled. And Paola was the first person who I could be myself. So yes, I stopped doing an official normal job at 25 or 24, but as the doctor and the nurses have told me many times back there, I then spent at least 18 years getting up at 6 a.m. and going to bed at midnight, doing the job of 2 or 3 nurses, looking after Paola. And that kind of stuff, watching someone you love without respite, my mum always offered, I couldn't take it. Other people offered. I think I was away for one weekend. In 18 years, I was away for one weekend and one day. And that was because my mum convinced me to go meet my friends from Eve Online and that. And that was how that went. But yeah. So if you calculated, I probably did. Because of not having a break, because of not having weekends off, because of doing that for 18 years, I probably did an entire life's worth of work. And what do I mean by work? Well, I had to do all the normal things you do. Food, finances, dealing with people on the phone, trying to convince them, talk about Paola's illnesses, getting everything sorted, studying the stuff, making sure that the house was clean for Paola, doing the laundry, doing all the normal things that a normal person do in a relationship. But then on top of that, the weakness in her legs, and that meant I had to keep her legs clean. She couldn't stand up in a shower, so whenever she needed to shower, I had to shower her. I had to make sure she could eat every 2 hours. She had to be able to eat every 2 hours because due to what was going wrong with the body, due to what was going wrong with what the medication was causing and so on, she would become extremely nauseous and sick. And so she had to basically have food every 2 hours until she went to bed. I always remember she always had to have a last meal, a supper, like just before bed, so she wouldn't be able to sleep. And then so as well as doing everything else, I was doing that. And there was lots of wounds on Paola's body that I had to look after. And then I had to make sure all her crafting stuff was working. I had to make sure she had access to a computer that was working and digitized movies and that, so she could see them everywhere, anywhere in the house. And so it was an ongoing thing to make sure, and the heating had to be a certain level in the house no matter what. Couldn't let it go down too far because the damage from certain parts of the medication meant that her body could not handle certain temperatures, and if she got ill, it could be very bad. And I had to make sure that any food coming in the house, I had to clean with disinfectant. Any tins coming into the house, any mail coming into the house had to be disinfected because a cold, a flu could kill her because her immune system was damaged right from the start. And so I had to make sure of all of that. You think wearing a mask and stuff like that is hard for a week, a month, a year? Try having to do that shit kind of stuff for 18 years. Why do I say 18 years? Because the first couple of years of the illness, we were in a hospital 99% of the time. And then we went to the Birmingham hospital, I believe it was, Queen Elizabeth, for another treatment. And then, so those first 2 years were full-on treatments and that more time spent in hospitals than at home. The only reason I got through it all was because I was focused on Paola so much. So yeah, that's and basically when Paola died, pretty much all the people that read my medical file and that expected me to die, expected me to end my life. I was so traumatized and wrecked, and after years and years of putting off of trying to deal with my own depression and not getting proper help and not getting myself sorted, it was over and over. I was in complete and total burnout, and there was nothing left inside me. It's all your fault that I've come back from all of this. So yeah, that's the summary of that. Yeah, that's what woke me up this morning. So I hope you're all having a good day.